Happy Saturday, everyone. Um, it's uh, it's the evening, and it is about to storm here in Florida. Clouds are moving pretty quick, and it is very, very windy and chilly. But I like it, and I thought I would take advantage and make a short video. I wanted to thank everybody that watched my last video and chimed in, and thank you for all the prayers and everything. Um, the the biopsy and the ultrasounds, they're not life-threatening, so um, it's just one of those things when you have autoimmune diseases or conditions. Um, I wanted to share some news. I have been hesitant to share it because I always sound negative when I don't celebrate and jump for joy with good news. But there always seems to be some kind of lingering concern within the good news. And what I mean by that is like my husband, for example, the most recent good news is that my husband is officially out of his defibrillator vest. He's been wearing it since early September 2025, and he was due to have an implant surgery. And I think I mentioned that on the last video, but we're cautiously optimistic, not quite ready to jump for joy, even he's not, because the thing is that it's been very traumatic for the two of us. Um, we've barely slept in our beds together, in our bed together, is what I meant to say. We've barely slept in our room for um, more than 6 months. We do occasionally, but the reason is he's been so uncomfortable in that vest that anytime he would move, a wire would get loose and the alarm would go off, and I would jump into a panic thinking that his heart stopped. Sometimes it would wake him up, and of course, he would know what to do to stop the machine from zapping him. Um, but sometimes he wouldn't wake up, which was even more scary, and I would be trying to wake him, and he would fall asleep in the recliner, and so I did his den is parallel. Well, it's not parallel. It's here's his den and the wall to our bedroom. So it's this way. And so I have no sight line, and the den has like an outside cement block wall, because it's basically a Florida room that we had enclosed, and so I couldn't I have a hearing loss in both ears, and it's hard for me to hear if I'm in the bedroom and he's in the den. So he would come to bed, but a lot of times he would fall asleep in the recliner, and I wouldn't wake him because he has so much trouble sleeping to begin with, especially in that vest. And then, so I would end up sleeping in the living room, which is diagonal from the Florida room or the den. Um, and that would be because I have a sight line and I can hear. So I can see and I can hear what's going on, and I would inevitably fall asleep on the couch while he's falling asleep um, on the recliner. And he's a smoker, And I've mentioned that before, and so far everybody's been kind about it. But for anybody new who's wondering why my husband, who has such bad cardiovascular health, is still smoking, it's because one, that's his choice and his right. Two, it's because he's a recovering addict, a recovering heroin addict. And he has given up heroin and alcohol, and all he had left was the cigarettes. And he talks about giving that up all the time. But anybody who's a smoker or addicted to anything, including food, um, knows that giving up tobacco is not an easy thing to give up. It's it's possible, but it's hard. And on top of that, he's a severe diabetic. Um, I don't know if using the word severe is the right term. He's a bad diabetic. He's just not a well-managed diabetic, despite his medication. And he has been through a lot of trauma, and he's dealing with a lot of health issues. He hasn't driven since his heart attack this past August 2025. My husband at one time was a cross-country truck driver for 8 years, and he loves to drive, and he had to give that, well, he felt he had to give that up because he was afraid of his heart stopping, and he never wanted to endanger anybody else's life. He never wanted to endanger me, and I, of course, never wanted him to endanger himself, although I never asked him to stop driving. It's just something he decided on his own he wasn't comfortable doing. So I've been the only one driving, and that was something that he really enjoyed. We have a truck, a pretty nice one, and he loves that truck. And he's given up a lot. He's given up a lot to be sober and remain in recovery from his other addictions. And he's under a lot of stress. He's been depressed, and with a lot of health issues and a lot of personal family stuff that we're going through, particularly with our youngest son, who unfortunately is also an active drug addict. And smoking is it. Smoking is my husband's vice. And so the Florida room, which has got a large TV in it, it's been glassed in with regular windows, and it has uh, he's a gamer, so it's got his his video game console in there, his TV, and um, you know, that's his room. That's his room to do whatever the heck he wants, and I wanted him to have that so that he didn't have to stand outside in the rain or, the freezing cold when we get cold. Excuse me, in our part of Florida, which we get 3 seasons, and this last winter we had a real winter. Um, I wanted him to be comfortable, so that's the smoking room. That's the only room inside the house that he smokes in, and it's basically kept separate from the rest of our home, and I don't he doesn't smoke around me, um, typically, and um, in any case, that's his area. So his man cave, if you will. So in order for me to see and know that he's okay, not to mention jumping up, 10 times during the night and checking to see if he's still breathing, and the alarm constantly going off because a wire would get loose and the defibrillator was 5 seconds away from going off and zapping him. Plus he's got the Libre 3 which anytime his sugar goes too high or too low, that alarm goes off. Um, we haven't had good sleep. We occasionally would get up during the night, meet each other in the bedroom, but for the most part, I've basically been sleeping on the couch in the living room because he falls asleep on the recliner and I don't want to wake him. And then if he gets up, he doesn't want to wake me because sleep is just not easy for us. And we've constantly been traumatized by all the alarms going off. Particularly the defibrillator is the scariest. And it's just been a long road. And while we are grateful and want to jump for joy that he's out of the vest and the implant surgery for the defibrillator has been postponed or stopped. We're also scared because as much as we hated that vest, you know, we weren't really sure that the vest would work, that it would restart his heart if need be. We weren't particularly confident in it, but it was something. It was somewhat of a backup plan. We were told that it would restart his heart, most likely, is what we were told. But now it's taken away, and my husband still has heart problems. He just doesn't have, he still has heart problems. It's just not where it needs to be, um, where it warrants a defibrillator vest anymore or the implant surgery. And that is because through a series of events, and I will make it short since we're already over 12 minutes here, and I know nobody wants a long video. Through a series of events, and my husband insisting on doing his own meds, I came to the realization that he was not taking his meds properly, and that there were two meds that were very, very important that he wasn't taking at all because we didn't even have it filled in the house. We didn't even have it filled from the pharmacy. And the way that we found that is because I finally got so frustrated with everyone saying my husband's heart is weak and basically giving him a death sentence, and not really giving me answers and not being able to get into the Mayo Clinic and not being able to get to see other specialists that I wanted him to see because of this. I finally, and we were constantly being given the ARNP instead of the doctor. I finally demanded that we see the doctor again, and I made Lou grab all his medications. We brought everything with us, including the printout of the meds from Publix pharmacy, and that's how I found out that my husband, one, wasn't taking his meds correctly, the ones that we had, and two, we hadn't filled two of the medications that were vital to his health. And that was my fault because I'm the one who fills the meds. But the thing is, my husband's on so many medications that both he and I were completely confused. The ARNP kept throwing new meds at us. Um, and there were all these side effects, and we were scared of the side effects. And these are not excuses. It just we're completely overwhelmed with all these medications. And so two of them that should have been filled weren't for months. And so I took over after that appointment with the doctor, and he went over everything and made everything very clear for me, for us, but mostly for me to have filled and know exactly what he's supposed to take. I've taken over the meds for the last month now. And since he's been on the right medications and he's been taking it twice a day instead of once the way he was taking them, and he's taking everything that he's supposed to, his infraction rate has increased, which means it's improved pumping the blood enough that the doctor now, after running a series of tests over the past month, and my husband having an angiogram, another venogram, and veins and arteries in the back of his head um, cathed to see and make sure that there were absolutely no blockages. Um, my husband's infraction rate has improved enough that he is now safe enough that he no longer warrants the implant surgery or the vest. Um, I wanted to take over my husband's meds months before because I always suspected he wasn't taking them quite right, but he insisted he was and he wanted to do it, and I didn't want to take away his dignity with everything else that he's been going through. He wanted to manage his own stuff, his own, I don't want to treat my husband like a child because he's not. He's my husband. He's not my child. And I was trying to respect him and his wishes, and he wasn't doing it intentionally. I just noticed that he started getting confused, especially because he wasn't sleeping well. I was getting confused because I wasn't sleeping well. I wish I had acted even stronger, and I wish I had requested an appointment with the doctor sooner and not just accept going to the ARNP. But the reason that I accepted going to the ARNP was because the doctor always makes us wait forever, and my husband has no patience, and he got sick of waiting. And so he wanted to see the ARNP because we could usually get in right on time for our appointment and get in and out. And that's what my husband likes to do. He is not a good advocate for himself when it comes to his health. He does not like going to the doctor. Not many people do, but he really doesn't like going to the doctor. And this is what's been going on, and I've just tried to respect his wishes and not not trample on his dignity, making him feel like he wasn't capable of doing his own thing. But like I said, I started to notice that, he was not only declining more and more, but he's getting confused. And so anyway, I guess better late than never. Um, because thankfully nothing happened between the heart attack in August and now, but I wish I had jumped in much sooner. I tried in some ways, but I just wasn't forceful enough, I guess. And anyway, long story short, he's been taking his meds perfectly now, and the meds are working. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. The meds are actually working. They're never going to get him off a disability. They're never going to bring his heart to a normal infraction rate. But if they can keep him safe enough that he doesn't warrant a defibrillator implant or vest, then that's one less thing that we have to deal with. And we're shell shocked. We want to jump for joy, but we're traumatized from this whole experience. And it's hard to trust because, again, we didn't really trust the defibrillator vest. We were terrified it would go off when it wasn't supposed to. We were terrified it wouldn't start as hard if it did need to. But now we have nothing. And now all we have is the word that all these tests that the doctor ran and all the records since he's had the defibrillator tied into the system have shown that there have been no events. We're told that he can be without this defibrillator vest and he can start driving when he's ready. So, meanwhile, my husband has not been ready. He's happy, he's more comfortable, but he's also nervous. I'm happy and I'm more nervous because now we don't have any backup. So, we have the meds, but it's just we're just kind of traumatized and don't know how to jump for joy yet about this because it's hard to trust. But it is good news. And my husband is starting to sleep a little bit more. We're still kind of on the couch and in the recliner adjacent to each other. I think it's just because of habit. We've never been good sleepers. We are intimate. We're an intimate couple. We have a lot of intimacy, both emotional and physical. But when we're not being intimate physically, he kind of does his thing and I do mine. And actually, since he's been in the defibrillator vest and had the heart attack, we've not been really physically intimate because we're both terrified. My husband thinks it's funny. He keeps saying that'd be a great way for him to go. Well, that would only be a great way for one of us. So, and I'm just being transparent. It's not that I like to disclose what our intimacy is like, but these are the realities of these comorbidities, if you will. My husband's on Manjaro. He is not overweight at all. He is 6'4" tall, and his is primarily for the diabetes, and sleep apnea. My Zepbound is because I'm 5'8" and I am morbidly obese. I have lost 101 pounds and I am still morbidly obese. Um, and that's the story. So I wanted to be transparent about that and go into a little bit more detail. I don't know if this will help anybody. I'd never even heard of a defibrillator implant. I'd heard of pacemakers, but not defibrillator implants, and I'd never heard of a defibrillator vest until we were faced with it. Um, so I don't know if this will help anybody else relate, or if it just kind of clarifies some of the shortness in my previous video. But that's kind of why I don't jump for joy with these wins. I do appreciate that they're wins, but they don't feel like 100% wins. Just like when I announced that I'd lost 101 pounds, that's a win. It's a huge win because I was stuck for so many years. I couldn't do it anymore on my own. But at the same time, it didn't feel 100% like a win because I've lost large amounts of weight, over 100 pounds, 4 times before in my life, and I've been here, done that. So I'm not impressed. I'm I'm impressed with the medication, but I'm more impressed with all the mobility it's given me, and I'm more impressed with the lack of pain than I am with the weight loss, if that makes sense. I will be impressed when I get to a normal weight because I have not been a normal weight since I was in junior high school, and I'm 54 years old. And until I get not just into single digits, but like really into my weight range that I should be, I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for the non-scale victories, and I'm grateful for the scale victories, but I'm not so excited about the scale wins, the pounds lost, because I've just been here too many times before, and I still have so much more to go. So they never feel quite like 100% wins, and I hope I'm not coming off as ungrateful because I truly am for so much. But I'm just being honest. It's hard to trust. It's hard to have faith. It's it's hard when you're dealing with so many different things. um, that are not, I don't want to say not positive, but it's just difficult. And it's been difficult. And to be honest, and I'm not depressed. So I know I come off negative. I know I come off depressed. I have a huge sense of humor, especially self-deprecating, and I love to laugh, and I make jokes all day long. And if you saw some of the crazy shit that I look at, that I laugh till I'm crying. But when it comes to being honest and transparent on how I feel, I'm always grateful, but I'm not always trusting. I'm not always faithful in 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 my own journey, and I'm really not impressed other than my mobility. That impresses me every day. Because even though I'm still carrying around 100 pounds more than I need to be, I feel good. Physically, I still have pain. I have tremendous pain in my hips. Sometimes it's so bad I can't even sit up. Sometimes it's so bad my husband has had to lift my leg to get it into the truck for me. But that's from the menopause. It's not from the weight. And I know that it's hormonal because certain time a month, all the pain goes away and I feel like a 16-year-old again. Energy, physically, no pain. It's amazing. But I only get about 2 days a month like that. And I'm grateful for those 2 days. But I am grateful for the mobility that I haven't had, and I am still in pain, but nothing like I was. I mean, I'm gardening. I'm able to bend. I'm able to get down on the floor. I'm able to get up off the floor. Um, I've squatted. I've had to squat sometimes to get down to the dogs to help or to fix things. I've I've put patio furniture together. I've put my treadmill together. Um, so I have so much gratitude for that, and I'm so impressed by Zepbound because that's what it's done for me with my mobility. And even though I still have pain, I feel so much better than I have in years. It's just, and that I feel every day, and I'm grateful, even with my hip pain. But I'm just not ready to jump for joy over the weight loss, and I'm just not ready to jump for joy over my husband not being in a defibrillator vest, and neither is he, because he's still suffering. He's still suffering every day, and he's still in danger. His risk of heart attack, a major heart attack or stroke, is still high up there. His diabetes is still not well controlled. His depression is evident, and you know, life has been difficult, and I know it's difficult for a lot of people, and I know people have it way worse than we do. And you know, we deal with it, and we do try and find the good things. My husband has a great sense of humor, so do I. So we're good at laughing every day. But you know, deep down, every day is scary. Every day is scary to bounce up and have to check and see if your spouse is still breathing. Every day that I have to come home, I don't know what I'm going to come home to because there's a lot of times where he doesn't hear the phone because he is asleep, or we live in a rural area and the damn phone won't ring. It just goes straight to voicemail and he doesn't realize, and he loses track of time, and I'm panicking because I can't reach my husband. And a lot of times he can't get in the car and make a trip, you know, 2 hours to the dentist when I take my guys because he just physically can't handle the ride right now. And I hate to leave him because that ends up being a 6 hour day where I'm away from him, and that scares the hell out of me. But and a lot of times my husband is up all during the night, so when I'm gone during the day he's sleeping, so I can't even check on him to see if he's okay because I'll text, I'll call, I'll try Messenger or whatever, but when he's out sleeping, he's out. So, I have to have faith then and trust that he's just asleep. But I'm always terrified that I'll walk in and he's not breathing. And it's just a shitty way to live. And I have no resentment towards him. I have fear of losing him because he is the love of my life. And he makes every day, even on the worst days, so much better with him than without. He's the funniest, most charismatic. I don't think he's come off that way lately in any videos that he's been in with mine that I've done, because since he's been really ill, he hasn't felt well. But if you could have seen him even a year ago, I mean, this is the man that has never met someone that didn't love my husband. I meet people all day long that can't stand me, but my husband, everybody loves Lou. He's just that person. And he is the warmest, sweetest, smartest, wisest, funniest human being. And I feel grateful every day that he chose me. And I still can't imagine why. And I know he looks like Grizzly Adams. And if you're from my generation, you know who Grizzly Adams is. Um, I love it. But when you see him with his goatee and his haircut and all dressed, I still can't believe he chose me, because he could have had anybody in the world that he wanted. And he definitely didn't have to have someone who's obese, who's got almost no eyebrows left, who's not exactly aging gracefully. But he chose me, and he is just the best man that I know and have ever known. Um, and I just adore him, and I cannot imagine a day without him. And that's my fear, is having a day without him, or the rest of my life without him. So that's where we're at. And thank you to everyone who wished my son a happy birthday. He would definitely want everyone to know that he appreciates that. He is a very warm person, very loving, but unfortunately he's an active drug addict. And when he is actively using drugs, he is really not aware very much of what's going on around him. So, um, we're hopeful that he'll get that straight. But we love him, and I'm proud of my son because he has a really good heart. I'm proud. I keep saying my son. He's our son. I'm proud of our son, and he's my baby, and we love him, and we're grateful. We're grateful that he's still with us. He's not here at the house, but we know he's alive because he called. So we're grateful to know that for the moment he's okay and he's safe. And I thank anybody who's made it through this long video. I'm sorry it ended up being a half hour, a little over. But thank you. And thank you for being part of my journey, part of our journey. And I will see you again soon. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the weekend and a safe one too. Goodbye for now.